I feel so many people today, I'm sure you hear this a lot as well. They feel that they're surrounded by toxicity, whether it's at home, whether it's at work, whether it's online. They feel like they're in a space where they can't become more. They at least from their perspective.
Well, I think some of that's actually a technical problem, and I think it's an extremely serious problem in our society. So we've invented these new communication technologies, which we're utilizing now. And the long form discussions seem to be pretty radically on the positive side of that, I would say. But the discourse on places like Twitter, Facebook, in comment sections and so forth is pretty degenerate. And I think the reason for that is that the evolved mechanisms that we use in face-to-face real-world discourse have been stripped away in the electronic domain. And the problem with that is twofold. The first problem is the exploitative, sadistic psychopaths have free rein because they're not held responsible for their utterances. They're anonymous. They get rewarded for the propagation of their emotionally arousing material. The algorithms will capitalize on it. And that's a very toxic combination. And then the anonymity as well, like we know perfectly well from a vast array of psychological experiences that normal people, anonymized, are much more likely to let the negative part of their character have free rein. And so I really see this as a technical problem, is that societies and psyches are always threatened by what they call the dark tetrad personality proclivities. Narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, that's parasitical predatory. A parasitical predator is a psychopath, and sadism. And you have those impulses within you, and there are people who are primarily characterized by those motivations. We have evolved mechanisms for keeping that under control, but they're all dispensed with in social media. And so what seems to be happening is the dark tetrad types are hijacking the political discourse on the right and the left, polarizing and dividing and capitalizing on that. And it's catastrophic socially and psychologically, but they benefit from the ensuing chaos by attracting attention to themselves in a manner that's undeserved and counterproductive. I think the danger in that is sufficient that it's civilization threatening. I mean, we can't underestimate the power of these electronically mediated communication networks. They're insanely powerful, and they amplify people to a degree that's almost unimaginable. And so the manipulators and the bad actors have disproportionate influence. On our Peterson Academy website, we have a social media network, and we're trying to incorporate all the features of social media networks that have made them attractive. But our system differs from, let's say, Twitter. Why? Well, there's a payment barrier. And you might say, well, I would rather it was free. It's like, free, eh? If it's free, you're the product. And if it's free, there's zero barrier to your exploitation, right? So the bad actors, I think this is probably a rule. In a social communication system that's free, the psychopaths come to dominate because they can take it. It's not free because you're devoting your attention, and attention is valuable. And the bad actors can take advantage of your attention and pay zero price. Well, if you set up a system where actors can take advantage of your attention for zero price, the psychopaths are going to dominate. So one of the things we might hypothesize, I don't know if it's true, is that there should be a price barrier to all social media interactions. If it's free, the bad actors will dominate. And then the other thing we're trying to do is to, encourage and reward positive interactions, but we're also going to take the responsibility of identifying the small number of people who will repetitively misbehave and just ask them to leave. Now, that raises the specter of something approximating censorship, let's say, but I don't think it's reasonable to draw a direct line between censorship and not putting up with immature psychopaths. Like, that's not the same thing. It's not opinion-based. I've been attacked by the psychopathic types on the left and on the right. It's politically agnostic. And so, because the psychopathic manipulator types, they'll use whatever system of ideas is at hand to further their own machinations. And I think you can distinguish the psychopaths. I mean, I use some rules online when I'm dealing with comments. If you're anonymous, you're questionable. If you're anonymous with a demonic name, you're definitely questionable. And a lot of anonymous accounts have names that are Luciferian, you know. I guess that's part of the edginess. If you use LOL, LMFAO, if you use derisive names, those are all indications of bad actors. Like, I think you could characterize the bad actor space quite clearly. You do that with diagnostic criteria. But we have this situation now where the social media spaces are overwhelmingly tilted in a negative direction by the predatory psychopaths.
Do you believe that things are as divided as they seem?
No, I know they're not.
I was
speaking with one of my friends today, Greg Hurwitz, who has been doing polling, trying to identify statements of conception that Americans radically agree on. And he has a list of about 50 that 85% of Americans agree on. They're very foundational things. No, I don't believe it at all. I think that there's a fringe of the dark tetrad types who are radically stirring the pot, and that the algorithms and the anonymity and the costless nature of the communication is enabling them. Yeah, and it's extremely dangerous.